Hi ladies, today we are going to be going through inheritance patterns. So in class you studied Mendelian genetics and you looked at complete dominance. So whenever there's a dominant allele, okay, it will mask the expression of a recessive allele. So let's look at a couple of different other possibilities that could happen. So to start off, you cross two homozygous peas, so a white pea and a purple pea, get all purple offspring. Okay, so think about how that could happen. Here's another example with snapdragons. So you cross two homozygous snapdragons, one is red and one is white, but all of your offspring are pink. How could that happen? You cross two homozygous 4 o'clock flowers. One is pink, one is white, and all of the offspring turn out to be both pink and white. So today we're going to be going through how these possible crosses could happen. So remember that the way that alleles interact could be different. All of these plants have one gene that determines color. The genes code for the expression of proteins. So in this case, the proteins would be pigment. And all of these plants have two alleles for each of these genes. So what we want to be thinking about today is how are these alleles interacting differently to give us these different phenotypes. So a good way to think about this is that the interaction of alleles can follow a continuum. So we have simple dominance, we have incomplete dominance, and we have codominance. And the way those alleles interact are going to be a little bit different with each of these types of inheritance. So the first one, and this is the one that we did the other day, is simple dominance. So one allele can hide the other allele. In this example, you cross a white plant with a purple plant. Okay, so white plant, purple plant, both homozygous, and you're going to get heterozygous offspring. Have one dominant allele, and so because they have one dominant allele, they're going to express all purple. This is complete dominance. One allele can hide the other allele. So complete dominance. Next, we're going to look at incomplete dominance. So when you look at these flowers right here, what do you notice about these carnations and snapdragons? When you look at them, hopefully you're able to see that you have red, you have white, and you have this intermediate, this pink that's sort of in between each of the parents. So when you look at incomplete dominance, what you should be thinking about is the fact that if you cross a red parent that's homozygous with a white parent and you see all pink offspring, so kind of an intermediate, this is incomplete. So each parent is passing on one allele. Okay, so this parent's passing on the pink or the red, this parent's passing on white, and the offspring have this in-between phenotype. They almost appear to be pink. And how this actually works is that the heterozygous phenotype is the intermediate of the homozygous phenotypes. So the homozygous parents. A dominant allele is expressed and the recessive allele is not expressed. So when an individual has two dominant alleles, they are going to express more than one dominant allele in the heterozygous genotype. So let's look here at how this works. So if you cross a red plant with a white plant, you get pink. But if you cross two pinks together, so if you cross two F1s together, to get the F2 generation, you're actually going to get a combination of different phenotypes. So each parent, remember, can give big R or little r. So big R, little r, big R, little r, and the sperm and the eggs. So big R and big R come together, and they're going to produce red. When little r and little r come together, they're going to produce white, just like this parent. But when you have big R and little r come together, you're going to have pink. They're producing half as much red pigment as this parent. So they're going to appear pink because they have half as much. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is codominance. So codominance is another interesting pattern. So when you're looking at these individuals, what patterns do you notice? Okay, what you should be seeing is that these individuals are expressing two different colors simultaneously. So this cow right here is expressing red and white. This flower is expressing pink and white. This hen right here is expressing black and white. Okay, this individual is expressing black and white hairs. Okay, and this blue dog here is expressing dark hairs and light hairs at the same time. So with codominance, what you want to think about is that you have you have two alleles that can be expressed independent of each other. So they're expressed at the same time. You have two alleles that are dominant. So in this example, if you cross a pink flower with a white flower, you're going to get pink and white flowers. So looking here, this is how we denote color or codominance. Usually a dominant letter means a dominant trait. So because they're both dominant, you should have two capital letters. And then you use a superscript to denote the different variations of that dominant trait. So if you have a pink with a white, okay, you're going to get pink and white expressed at the same time. So pink and white at the same time. And that's how codominance works. Sometimes you can have multiple alleles. Usually with codominant individuals, there's a way to have multiple alleles. This example right here shows that single genes can have many possibilities of alleles that can be inherited in many patterns. So in this example right here, there are Agouti, there are Chinchilla, which are like the silver color, Himalayan, and Albino. Agouti is the dominant, and then these two, because you can see the lowercase c with the different variations, there's a couple of different recessive alleles that can form all these different types of rabbits. The example of multiple alleles and codominance is also found in humans. So if you look here, you can see that red blood cells express surface antigens that are caused by a specific gene. So remember, antigens are just surface proteins. There is a gene for A antigens and a gene, or a different form of that gene, a different allele would produce B surface antigens. So individuals over here, if you look, that have type A blood have just A surface proteins. Individuals that have type B blood have B. However, you can have a codominant condition where an individual is expressing both A and B. So A and B are both dominant, and they can be expressed at the same time, which is codominance. The recessive allele here would be type O, which is basically the lack of surface antigens on the surface. Usually we use genotypes with A, superscript A, I, superscript B, and little I to denote the genotypes. Little I would be used, little I would indicate type O blood. We're going to go into this a little bit more, but just to review, remember that interaction of alleles can follow a continuum. We have simple dominance, where the heterozygote expresses the dominant phenotype with only one allele or two. Incomplete dominance, the heterozygote individual is going to be an intermediate and express half as much as the homozygote. And with codominance, when you have a heterozygote, they are going to express two dominant genes at the same time. So the way that alleles interact can affect how genes are expressed. We're going to get into this a little bit more next class, and we're going to do some more practice problems. Please bring any questions you have with you.